Welcome to this fourth and the final session of the 13th Adhyaya of Sri Bhagavad Gita. We start with our gratitude towards the Lord, with whose grace everything is possible. We pray to this Guru Parampara, through which this knowledge is preserved, protected, and passed on for generations. I pay my respects to my Guruji, Pujya Guruma, with whose grace I am able to learn the scriptures and share this understanding with you. We start with a prayer. Om Sahana Bhavatu Sahanau Bhunaktu Sah Viryam Karavavahai Tejasvinavadhitamastu Ma Vidvishavahai. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. So 13th Adhyaya is Kshetragnya Vibhaga Yoga, and our Guruji says that it is the crux of the message of Gita Ji and the Upanishad. It's a very important Adhyaya, though it has not been given that importance in normal, colloquial language, where the second Adhyaya, the 12th Adhyaya and the 15th Adhyaya are given quite a lot of importance. But 13th Adhyaya also gives very important message that Lord wants to convey. So let us recapitulate how Gita Ji is framed or made in the way to give the true sense of what the first things Adhyayas is. It demonstrates the true Swarupa, the true nature of the Jiva. What is this Aramarthik Swarupa of the Jiva? That is mainly the subject matter of the second Adhyaya, where Atma Gnana, where Atma and Atma Viveka is being given by Shri Krishna. From the 7th to the 12th Adhyaya, the true nature of Ishvara, Ishvara Tattva, the Gnana Tattva, it is described in details. When Bhagavan described in the 10th Adhyaya the Vibhuti Yoga, how we can see his presence everywhere. And then the 11th Adhyaya is the Vishwarupa Darshana, where we can see the entire world as the manifestation of the God. And then the 12th Adhyaya deals with how we can actually connect, how we can devote to the Lord, how we can love the Lord, how we can do, connect with a bond with the Lord with love and reverence. And then after the 12th Adhyaya, which is the Bhakti Yoga, the 13th Adhyaya, which is the Gnana Yoga. So 13th Adhyaya is the Kshetragna Vibhaga Yoga. From the 13th to the 18th Adhyaya, the true knowledge of the Jiva and the Ishvara begins, where there is Aikya, the main crux of the Upanishad, and 13th Adhyaya also deals with this very important part. So in the first shloka, Sri Bhagavan starts saying that he shows the Kshetragna Viveka to Arjuna. He says, Idam Shariram Konteya Kshetramatta Vidhyate, means, O Arjuna, see that this body is nothing but the Kshetra, the field. It is from the Prakriti, it is a Kshetra. And one who knows this Kshetra, Bhagavan says, he is the Kshetragna, the knower. उनका जो जाननारा है ये क्षेत्र का, उनका जाननारा है वो क्षेत्रज्ञ है. That is what Bhagavan is saying, and know that both of these have been said by people who know both these elements truly. They have understood these elements truly. So the first and second shlokas are the summary of the Vedantic knowledge. Bhagavan says, Idam means this, Sharira is the Kshetra, and we know that Jagata, this comes with my experience. We call it Idam, this world, this Jagata. But Bhagavan says that this Sharira also is Idam. It is Drashta. It's a Drashya. It is seen. It is not a subject, but it is an object of vision. And that's why it is also a part of Kshetra. And Kshetragnya, Bhagavan says, is the one who knows this Kshetra. Is the Kshetragnya. Aham is the I, the true sense, who am I. And Bhagavan says that in the second shloka, the first line, he says, Kshetragnyam chapi mam vidhi. Means all the Kshetras, you see me as a Kshetragnya. So Bhagavan says, not just in your body, but in all the bodies I am there. And this is what we have to understand, that there is only one Kshetragnya, only one soul, only one Atman. We call it Atma or Brahma. It is one and the same. Aham Brahmasmi. I am the same Brahma. I am that. So that is the ultimate knowledge of Vedanta, which is given in this shloka. where Atma Paramatma are one and the same. Jiva Ishvara, there is no bhed, and I myself, my Swarupa, in my true sense, I am complete, Purna, unlimited, free already. So we spend a lot of our time looking around, understanding, gaining knowledge of the world, which is called Aparavidya. But in the sense of the Lord, Bhagavan says that the Paravidya, knowledge of this, our own self, about this Ishvara, about the Jagata, is the reals. It is what is worth knowing. It is Gneya. It is something that is worth knowing. And this is called Paravidya. Then Bhagavan describes the Kshetra, all his modifications, Savikara Mudayutam, and he describes all the Sukha Dukkhena, everything, Sukshma Sharira, Stula Sharira, everything is part of Kshetra. And then before describing the Kshetrajna from the 7th shloka of these 13th Adhyaya, Bhagavan talks about the Sadgun Sampatti, the moral life values, Amanitvam, Adambitvam, Ahimsa, Shantirarchavam, Acharyopasanam, Shaucham, Sthairyamatma Vinigraha, Indriyartheshu Vairagyam, Anhankara Evacha, Janma Mrutyu Jara Vyadi, Dukkha Doshan Darshanam, Asaktirana Vishwangaha, Putradara Gruhadishu, Nityam cha Samachittattvam, Nishta Nishtopapattishu, Mai Chananya Yogena Bhaktiravya Vicharini, Nivitta Desha Sevitvam, Arati Jana Sansthi, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, Tattva Jnanartha Darshanam, Etach Jnanam Iti Proktam, Ajnanam Yatatomyatha. So these moral values that Bhagavana describes, only humans need to be told about this, because we have a free will and commonly we try to digress from our path, and that's why we have to be told what needs to be done. And these are called general code of ethics, the Samanya Dharma for all humans, which we all know, that we should all know it. There is no need to scriptures to tell us, because what I expect from others I should do to others, what I don't expect from others I should not do to them. And if I'm careful, that these moral values will definitely lead to a peace of my mind. But if I'm not, then this may give me a lot of comforts, but it will not give me peace of mind. And these ethical values are very, very important for us to undergo a change in our life. And they are like a reflection where we can see our own self and we know where we have to reach. It is not for others to see or make sure that you need to have this value. It is for us. Ultimately, this yatra is to be done by me, myself. So in the 11th shloka, Bhagavan says, Adhyatma Jnana Nityatvam, the main steps of the spiritual journey, the Shravana, Manana and the Nididhyasana, the Adhyatma Jnana, can only be achieved by the pursuit of this study of the self-knowledge, Atma Jnana, on a regular basis. Study of the Vedanta, study of the Upanishad, and by learned Guru, Shravana, Manana and then Nididhyasana. Keeping the benefit of this knowledge, the final goal, the phala of these Atma Jnana constantly in mind. And Bhagavan says this values itself is Jnana. They are real knowledge in the view of the Lord. And everything which is Viparit, which is not this, is Ajnana, Bhagavan says. And then he describes the Brahma Tattva, the Nirgun Tattva with very contradictory words. Sarvendriya Guna Bhasam, which illuminates the senses, but it is still Sarvendriya Vivarjitam, it is devoid of all the senses. Asaktam, it is unattached, but still it illuminates or nurtures all the beings. It is Nirgunam, it does not contain any guna, but still it is the knower of all the gunas. And in the next shloka it says it is inside as well as it is outside all the human beings. It is pervades all the living as well as the non-living beings. And it is very, very sukshma. And that's why it is not known to people. And it is very far away. It is very near also. So all these contradictory words are being used by Lord. Avibhaktam, looks like it is one, but it appears that it is divided. And the same one, which is the nurturer or the creator or the destroyer, manifests in different ways as Vishnu, Brahma, Mahesh. And this is what is the Ishvara Tattva. That is what Bhagavana is describing. So Bhagavana is essentially giving us the Prakriti Purusha Viveka that he started in the 7th Adhyaya, where he described the Apara Prakriti, which consists of 8 elements, Ashtada Prakriti, which is also called Maya and which is Jada. And then he described the Para Prakriti, which is the Jiva or the Chetana. And Ishwar is the Lord of both these Para as well as Apara Prakriti. And the relationship between the Jiva and the Ishwara is nothing but like a Pratibimba Bimba relationship. So Ishwara is the Bimba Bhuta Chaitanya and Jiva is the Pratibimba Chaitanya. So then in the next few shlokas he talks about the Prakriti and the Purusha and says that both have Anadi, both have no beginning, and all the modifications, Guna, Vikara, everything that is there, it all comes from Prakriti. So that is what needs to be clearly understood. We have to understand this, and it describes 25 elements of the Mool Prakriti with 24 Prakriti and 1 Purusha. Mool Prakriti, Karan Maya. When during the creation, there is this Sukshma Panch Mahabhuta, Mat Tattva, Ahankara, and then there is assimilation of these Panch Mahabhuta, which forms Sthula Panch Mahabhuta and all the 10 Indriyas. And then finally, along with this, there is 1 Purusha, which is the Shuddha Chaitanya, that is the Purusha Tattva. So with this, how creation develops, that is what Lord is describing. And this is nothing but Atma, Anatma, Viveka. It may call it Drak Trashya Viveka, Jada Chetan Viveka. Here Bhagavan is describing the Prakriti Purusha Viveka, and it has also been called Kshetra, Kshetragna Viveka. And the problem that happens is the mixing of these two elements. We have to clearly differentiate this, and the solution is nothing but Viveka. We have to clearly see that these two are different, Jada and Chetana, Prakriti and Purusha, and not only on an individual level, but even on a samashti level, on a universal level, we have to see these differences, and that is what is the part of the spiritual journey. And then Bhagavan describes the Karya Karana Kartrutva. Know that for this Kartrutva, for this doership feeling, he says Prakriti is the Hetu, is the main reason for the same, whereas for the feeling, that the knowledge or the feeling of Sukha Dukkhanam, pain, pleasure, the main Hetu is the Bhoktrutva, Hetu is the Purusha. So Purusha, Chaitanya is the main reason for this knowledge, and this has to be understood as that the Jiva is the Upadhi with the Karya Karana Sanghata, and the Sthula Sharira is the Karya, whereas the Sukshma Sharira, the psychological body, is the Karana. It is the means through which we carry out all these actions, and for all these, Prakriti is the main cause for this Karya Karana Sanghata. Everything arises from Prakriti also, and all the actions, all the karmas also happen in these Prakriti, within this Sthula and the Sukshma Sharira. Therefore, it is said that for Prakriti is the Hetu for karma or kartapana or kartrutva. Whereas all the knowing part, the knowledge part, the knowing part, the Gnan part, everything happens in the Chaitanya or Purusha, and that's why it is said that Chaitanya is the Hetu or Purusha is the Hetu for all the feelings, Sukha, Dukkha, etc. And then in the next shloka, Bhagavan describes how Purusha and Prakriti, they mix together, and how what happens. Purusha Prakrutisthahi Bhunkte. So along with the Prakriti, remaining in close proximity with the Prakriti, the Purusha enjoys all the gunas which arise from the Prakriti, and this Guna Sangha, this association of gunas of the Prakriti with the Purusha, is the main reason for the birth of the Jiva in Sata and Asata Yoni, in different parts, different yonis or different species. The main cause for this birth, rebirth, is this association, this Guna Sangha. And then Bhagavan Shri Krishna describes that this Nirguna Tattva is Upadrashta, it is Sakshi, it is Anumanta, it gives permission for everything that happens in this Karya Karana Sanghata. It is Bharta, it is Bhokta, it is Sustainer, it is a Knower, it is Almighty God. And this is also called as a Paramatma iti Chapyukta. Means this Atma Tattva is also called Paramatma. It is one and the same in the eyes of the Lord. It's all one and the same. The entire Purusha is the same. Asmin Dehe, which resides in the body only, and this is how we can achieve this. So Adhyatma Yatra is an inner journey where we have to go deep inside to see for this Tattva. And then in the next shloka, Bhagavan describes how this Purusha and the Prakriti will all its gunas together, and this is, it will not be born again. That is, ultimately, if you understand this Purusha and Prakriti properly and truly, then we will not be born again. That is the phala. And then in the next shloka, Lord Krishna starts describing the Adhyatma Yatra. What are the ways to achieve this Almighty? This Tattva he has already described. And now Arjuna must have thought that this looks like a very difficult part. How can I understand this Tattva? And Bhagavan shows him that there are many ways to attain this. He says, Dhyanen Atmani Pashyanti. So one he describes is Dhyana or meditation. So he says, Kechit Atmanam. Some people perceive the Atmanam by meditation, by Dhyana. And how Atmana Atmani Pashyanti means they, by their own purified inner self, Atmana, in their own heart, Atmani Pashyanti, they see this Tattva by meditation. says Anye Sankhya Yogena. Some others by Sankhya Yoga. Sankhya means the knowledge, the Gnan part, which requires an inquiry or a vichara, viveka. Cha apare karma yogena. Some others by karma yoga they can achieve or attain the Almighty. So Bhagavan is described in the Dhyana Yoga, and there are several types of Dhyana Yoga. One is the Dhyana of the Ishta Devata, our own idol or our own deity with whom we can steady our mind on, and this can give us a lot of peace and concentration of mind. And this is the best way to detach the mind from these worldly affairs. Our mind is normally attached to all the worldly affairs. If we want to detach, then we have to, this is the best way to attach our mind to the Lord, and that is how we can detach our mind from this world. Second type of meditation is the Nama or Japa Dhyana, where some mantra is given, Nama or mantra or Japa, and continuously we keep doing this. So ultimately the idea is to keep our mind at one point and not to allow it to wander in this world. So this also improves the focus and concentration of the mind. But the meditation that Lord Krishna describes here, it's not this simple meditation, but it is the Nididhyasana, which is also called the Vedantic meditation, for which Shravana is the first step. Because unless we have done Shravana, we cannot do Nididhyasana. Shravana is the first step which tells us what is the truth. And then there will be lots of doubts which have to be cleared by doing Manana, which is the second step. And then whatever this, we have understood this knowledge or this truth or reality, we have to assimilate this in our life so that it makes a change in our life. And this is by a process what is called as Nididhyasana, Vedantic meditation, where we change all our Viparita Sanskara, Viparyaya. We have to change this by constantly hammering the new reality, and then this we have to repeatedly see the truth and assimilate in our life. This requires sitting in silence. This cannot be done walking or talking or standing. It has to be done, or sleeping. It has to be done sitting in silence in a secluded place, withdrawing our senses and mind from all these worldly activities, and then Atma Sanstam Manah Krutva. In the 6th Adhyaya, Bhagavan has said that you have to put all these Indriya, Mana, everything in the Atmana Tattva, where we have to see ourselves as the observer, the Sakshi, and see this clear Viveka between Atma and Atma, and this is the best way to go deep into meditation. The second path that Bhagavan shows is the Sankhya Yoga, the path of inquiry, which is the path of knowledge. And Sankhya Darshana is also amongst one of the 6 darshanas, which is called as a Shat Darshana in our Shastra. There are 6 ways, 6 types of philosophies in our Shastra, the Shat Darshana, which are also called the Nyaya, the Vaisheshika, the Sankhya, the Yoga, Karma Kanda, which are the Purva Mimamsa, and Vedanta, which are the Uttar Mimamsa. So these are the 6 different types of Shat Darshana, different types of philosophies. There is some difference in all the way everybody looks at Lord and how they see the God. And Sankhya also means Samyak Khyayate, means it describes Tattva very clearly. And Sankhya also stands for Sankhya. So it's a counting, because in this path there are 25 elements which form, out of which 24 are the Prakriti and 1 is the Purusha. And this Prakriti Purusha Vivek is the Pradhanya, main inquiry, where we have to see the difference. This can also be called as Atma, Anatma Viveka, or Drashya Viveka. The third path that Bhagavan Shri Krishna shows is the Karma Yoga, the path of action. For people who are not capable of doing Dhyana Yoga or Sankhya Yoga, Karma Yoga is the best. It is the safest of the path, because most of us are inclined towards karma. We are all obsessed by our actions, our karma, our work. And that's why what we need to do is to change this karma into Karma Yoga. And this is what Bhagavan has already described in the 3rd, 4th and the 5th Adhyaya. What is Karma Yoga? In a nutshell, while we're doing our actions, we should avoid the pride of doing this kartrutva, of that I am the doer of this karma, I did this, I can do this, I have done this. So this pride has to be avoided by being, nimitta matra, by Ishwara Arpana Bhavana, by all this. And whenever we accept the result of this karma, we should try and share it with others. We should not have a selfish motive that only I should receive this. We should be large-hearted. We should accept whatever comes to us as a result of our actions, like a prasada buddhi, how we accept prasada. And this karma yoga leads to purity of the mind and reduces the raga dvesha. And then only this subtle and pure mind is capable of doing some kind of a viveka. With viveka, we can develop some vairagya from this world, And this can only make us eligible finally to do the advanced level of sadhana like Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and ultimately to reach the Atma Jnana. So this is the link that Bhagavan has showed, how we can see, how we can start from Dharma Karma, Kartavya Karma, we go to Karma Yoga, when Ishwararpana Bhavana, Nimitta Bhavana, Samatva Bhavana, and this gradually acceptance, Prasada Buddhi, Karma Yoga leads to clarity or clearing of the inner mind. Raga Dvesha becomes Shithila, or they get dissolved, and then with this pure mind we can go for Sadhana Chatushta Sampati, which was make us eligible for doing this Jnana Sadhana like Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana, and they can finally be known Atma Jnana. So this is how is the link that Lord has described. Anye tvevam janantah shrutva nebhya upasate tepi chati tarantyeva mrityum shruti parayanaha. So Bhagavan here shows the fourth path, and this fourth path is also called Samarpana Yoga, which can also lead to freedom or moksha. And Bhagavan is describing Anyetu. Anyetu means some others also. Evam ajananta, those who are ignorant of this. Ajananta means ignorant of this Dhyana Yoga, Karma Yoga, Sankhya Yoga, all this that is given in Shastras. If somebody is ignorant of this, Shrutva Annebhya Upasate means they listen to other wise people, some Mahapurusha, some Gnani, some enlightened people, they listen to them. And then with this Upasate means we become a devotee, we worship the Lord with this understanding, Shruti Parayana. So we listen with a faith, a Shraddha and Parayana, with commitment. So if we do this, then Te api cha mrityum atita ranti eva, we will also cross this ocean of life and death, and we can achieve this ultimate goal of the human existence. So these are the 4 steps that Bhagavan has shown. So Bhagavan is showing the 4 means according to our suitability of the sadhaka, the jignasu, 4 sadhana based on adhikaritva, which are step-by-step phenomenon for the Uttam Adhikari, who is the best or the most suitable candidate, who has already purified his mind by all the other means, and then he is eligible now to enter into Dhyana Yoga. The Madhyam Adhikari, who is still not completely clear, pure, but he is on this journey. He already has started doing some Viveka. He is the person who is eligible for the Sankhya Yoga. He's already done some Karma Yoga, Bhakti Yoga. But for the Mand Adhikari, Karma Yoga, along with Karma Yoga, we have to take Bhakti Yoga also along with this. So that is the most suitable means for this. But Mandatara Adhikari, one who is still at a elementary level, for them the Samarpana Yoga may be the best. He has not read the scriptures, he doesn't know what is Karma Yoga. For him, listening to some wise person, Samarpana Yoga may be the best option. So these 4 steps that Bhagavan Krishna is described, Guruji says that these are step-wise steps. It is not that one is superior to the other, but ultimately it is something like we go first to kindergarten, and then we go to primary school, then we go to middle school, then we go to high school, then we go to college. Similarly, here also it is a stepwise phenomenon. It does not mean that somebody who is in the high school is more superior to the person in the primary school. Of course, he has more knowledge, but then it is according to the eligibility that this person is in high school, this person is in middle school or primary school. So this is what is the explanation of these steps. Also, Guruji tells us that we have to assimilate all this. It is not that these are either of this sadhana that we can use. One, we start with Samarpana Yoga, then go to Karma Yoga, then go to Sankhya Yoga. But we can use all these together. We can use some part of our life for Sankhya, Vichara, Viveka, some part of our life for Karma Yoga, which can be the predominant part. There's some part for Samarpana Yoga, some part for the Dhyana Yoga. Essentially, we can use all this together in our life. And depending on the stage, the Pradhana Sadhana changes, keeps changing. We start with Samarpana Yoga as a Pradhan Sadhana, then we go to Karma Yoga as a Pradhan Sadhana, then we can spend more time in Sankhya Yoga, and then gradually we can spend more time in Dhyana Yoga. So essentially, we can reach our goals. Yavat sanjayate kinchita sattvam sthavara jangamam kshetra kshetragna sanyoga tad Vidhi Bharatarshava. So here Lord is telling us that the creation is born from the union of Kshetra and Kshetrajna. O Bharatarshaba, that is the Sambodhana, that is the salutation to Arjuna, who is the best in the Bharata dynasty. Yavat Sanjayate Kinchita. Whatever comes into existence, whatever can be seen as being rising or comes into life, Sattvam, Stavaram or Jangamam, means either it is good, it is non-living, it does not move, or it is Jangamam, means it is living, it keeps moving. Tadviddhi, know that it is due to the Kshetra Kshetrajna Sanyogat. It is a union of these two, Kshetra and Kshetrajna, the Purusha and the Prakriti, Drashta and the Drak, and this union forms this, whatever, because of this existence is the union of these two. And that's why what we have to understand, what we have to see is that wherever there is Prakriti, we have to see that there has to be Purusha. Bhagavan here clearly says that only with the union this comes into existence. It is not that there is only Prakriti. So when we see this world, we have to see that there is a Chaitanya, there is a Tattva, Purusha Tattva. We call it Ishvara Tattva, we call it Chaitanya Tattva, we call it anything, but the Tattva is there behind it. And this is the correct vision, that wherever we see Prakriti, Prakriti is Jada, but behind this, how it becomes Chetanvanta is because of the Chetan Padartha or that Tattva. Samam sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam parameshwaram vinashyat swam vinashyantam yapashyati sapashyati. So here Lord Krishna is trying to show us how we can see what we cannot normally see, seeing the unseen. And sarveshu bhuteshu tishtantam samam parameshwaram. Within all the humans and all the animals, all the species, all the living beings, Bhagavan says, there is this presence of this Samam Parameshwaram, this Samaswarup Parameshwara, this Lord, which is uniformly present in all the beings. It is not that in humans the Bhagavan, the Tattva is more, or and in other species it is less. It is equally present in all the humans. Within one species also it is equally present uniformly. Samam Swarup. Sama is the Swarupa. Vinashyatsu Avinashyantam. It is present as the changeless in all the ever-changing bodies. So within all that is ever-changing, it could be our bodies, it could be this Jagata, this world, but Bhagavan says that there is the one Tattva which is as a changeless, which is always there amongst all these changing things. Ya pashyati sapashyati. So one who sees this, he is having the true vision in the Lord's view. He's saying that is the correct vision. Even our Ishavasya Upanishad, it starts with the first sentence, Ishavasya idam sarvam. Everything is pervaded by the Lord, and it tells us that this is the goal. We have to see this. We don't see the Jagata as it is, but we have to see that there is something behind that, and that how Lord is pervading everything. We have to try and see this. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram nahi nastyatmanatmanam tato yati param gatim. So benefit of seeing the same Brahman everywhere. Samam pashyan hi sarvatra samavasthitam ishwaram. By seeing the same Brahma everywhere as the samavasthita Ishwara, that is the equanimous Lord who is sthita in samatva rupi, atmana atmanam na hinasti. That person who sees this Brahma as equal in everywhere does not hurt himself by his own self. And what he's trying to say is that hinata means stealing, disrespecting, tiraskar karna, our own self. When we do disrespect to our own self, that itself is violence. And if we don't understand or recognize our own true nature, our own real potential, that itself is hurting ourselves, that itself is disrespecting ourselves, and that itself is violence. So Bhagavan says, Tato yati param gatim, and that is a person who sees this Brahma everywhere, who does not hurt his own self, attains the highest path. Even in Ishavasya Upanishad it is said, Asurya namat te lokaha andhena tamasa vrutaha. Means of these people who are Asuri, Vritti, those who just are involved in the Bhoga and this world and in all this Vishaya Asakti within this world, they are the people, Eke Chatma Hano Janaha. Those are the people who are actually Atmaha. They are their own destroyers. They destroy their own self. They disrespect their own Atma Swarupa. and they are the people who are like committing suicide because they don't understand the potential of their own self. So we have to try and see the one behind the many, and that is how behind all the differences that we see in this Prakriti, we have to see one Maya, and Maya is one, but even Maya is Ashrita to Chaitanya or Ishvara, which is also one. Prakrutyaiva cha karmani kriyamāṇāni sarvashah sa yah pashyati tathatmanam akartaram sapashyati. So here Bhagavan tells us to see the akarta swarupa of the Atmana, and he says karmani sarvashah prakrutya eva cha kriyamāṇāni. One who sees that all these actions, all our karma, pralapan, visujan, unmishan, nimishan, all this karma, karta, the action that we do happen in the field of Prakriti. Tatha Atmanam Akartaram. So Atmanam, which is our own self, our own real nature, is Akarta. It is non-action. Yah Pashyati Sapashyati. In Lord's view, this is the real vision, that Prakriti Kshetra is the karma, whereas the Kshetrajna or Atma is the Akarta, and this is the real vision. So one who sees one amongst the many, the Prakriti Purusha Sanyoga, he says all this world comes into existence, and this Viveka we have to do, that Prakriti is where all the actions happen, whereas my own Atma Swarupa is Akarta Swarupa. Yada Bhuta Pruthak Bhavam Ekastham Manupashyati Tata Eva Cha Vistaram Brahma Sampadhyate Tada. So benefit of seeing Brahma pervading everything. Yada Bhuta Pruthak Bhava, in all the different bodies or beings, Ekastham Manupashyati, one who sees the one Atman behind everything, all these differences. Tata Eva Cha Vistaram, and this Vistara, this expanse of this Brahma is the same Atma. Atma becomes a Brahma. So this Vistara is Tata Eva Cha Vistaram. So within all the beings there is one Atman, he says Bhagavan, and says that this Vistara that you see this everywhere pervading everything is the Vistara of this Atman itself, which becomes Adhisthana for everything. Tada Brahma Sampadhyate. There and then with this understanding he attains Brahma Jnana or Brahma Swarupa. Ultimately it is to seeing one in the many. Bhagavana in the 6th Adhyaya has already said Sutre Manigana Iva. It's just like a thread which is woven. All the different flowers or the beads which are of different colors, different shapes are all woven within the thread. Normally we don't see the thread, we only see the beads or the flowers, but it can only be that lightened Guru who can just take the flowers or the beads away and show us that this is the thread which binds everything. All these flowers or all these beads are woven in this one thread, which we normally don't see, but we have to make an attempt to clear this Nama Rupa Jagata to see that Ishvara. Anaditvat Nirgunatvat Paramatma Maya Yamavyayah Sharirasthopi Kaunteya Nakaroti Na Lipyate. This Paramatma, which is experienced as our own Atma Swarupa, is Anadi. It is without any beginning. It has no beginning. It has no Janma. There is no change. It is Nirgunatvat. It is devoid of all the gunas, and it is Avyaya. It is changeless. It does not undergo any disintegration or destruction or change. Sarirastha api kaunteya, living in this body also, na karoti na lipyate. It does not get attached to anything, does not do anything. It is akarta swarupa because it does not do anything, and nor does it get attached to any of the actions or results, and that's why it is asanga tattva. So this tattva is also called akarta and asanga, and this is what I have to understand. Bhagavan says sharirastha kaunteya, it is living in your own body. This is where you have to identify this. So spiritual journey is an inner journey. You don't have to find it outside. Next shloka. Yatha sarvagatam saukshmyadakasham nopalipyate sarvatravasthito dehe tathatma nopalipyate. So in this shloka, Bhagavan Krishna gives an example of space, Akash, and is trying to explain us what is Atman, how it is asanga, unattached. He says, Yada sarvagatam akasham. Just as this vast space which we see, Akasha, we normally call it as a sky. But in Shastra, the word Akasha means a space, because that is how it is not. Shastra looks much beyond this atmosphere, it looks beyond into the space, it sees everything. And that's why na upalipyate, though it is so vast, it is sarvagatam, it is sarvavyapaka, it is everywhere, but it is so vast and it is very sukshma, it cannot be seen. Space is something that cannot be seen. It is very sukshma and it remains unattached. It remains it remains na upalipyate, it remains unattached. There are so many clouds coming, going. It does not, Akash does not get attached to any of these. There are so many planets revolving, some moons, suns, thousands of planets, and so many stellar systems, solar systems, but Akash does not get attached to any of these. It is just like a Sakshi, it is vast, and that is how Akasha is compared with the Atman. It says, Tatha Dehe Sarvatra Avastitaha. Similarly, by being present in all these bodies, Atma na upalipyate. Atma remains unattached, even though it is in all these bodies, but it remains asanga, it remains as a drashta, it remains, it does not get attached to, it remains akarta swarupa. Only Prakriti is the one that does the karma. So this is an example of the space that is given. We may find it very difficult to understand how being sukshma, it cannot be so vast. But Shastra gives us the example that, the ice, which is the solid form of the water, when it becomes liquid form, it occupies more space. And when it becomes a vapor, in a gaseous form, it occupies more space. So whatever is more sukshma, it occupies more space. Similarly, Akasha is very, very sukshma and very, very vast. It's all expansing, sarva vyapaka. And because of this sarva vyapaka, it is, it is nirakara, it has no shape, it has no color. The blue color that we see is a reflection. It is not the real color of the space. Space is colorless. And that's why this Akasha is compared to the Atma. But there is a difference and there is a limit, because Akasha is the Jad, it is not Chetana, and it is arising from the Panch Mahabhuta, and that's why there is another example that Bhagavan Shri Krishna shows us, that this is the example of Surya. The next shloka he says, Yatha prakashayatyeka krutsnam lokamimam ravihi kshetram kshetri tatha krutsnam prakashayati bharata. So here Bhagavan gives the example of the sun and shows the Atma Tattva, how sun is glowing by its own self. Similarly, Atma Tattva is the self glowing. It is Swayam Prakasha, and describes how Vyatha Eka Ravihi Krutsnam Imam Lokam Prakashayati. Just as one sun illuminates his complete world, O Bharata, O Arjuna, Bha itself stands for the light of knowledge. He says, Tatha Kshetri Krutsnam Kshetram Prakashayati. Similarly, there is one Kshetri. Kshetri is the word used for Kshetragna. Now, Kshetri means the one who owns the Kshetra. He is a Kshetri. And Kshetragna is the one who is the Adhisthana of the Kshetra. So, similarly, we say one who owns the Dhana is called Dhani, or one who owns the body is called Deha, is called Dehi. Similarly, here Kshetram, Kshetra, Kshetri. Kshetri is the same as Kshetragna. So one Kshetragna, similarly, just like the sun, illuminates all the Kshetra. And this is the Chit Swarupa of the Atma. It is the knowledge, it is the knowing, and the Bhan Swarupa of the Atma. This is what Bhagavana describes. And finally comes to the concluding shloka of the 13th Adhyaya. Kshetra Kshetragnayo Revam Antaram Jnana Chakshusha Bhuta Prakriti Moksham Cha Ye Viduryanti Te Param. So how we can attain the Lord by knowing this Kshetra Kshetragna, Bhagavana describes in this final shloka. He says, Kshetra Kshetragna yo evam antaram. This difference, if anyone understands this difference between Kshetra and Kshetragna clearly, irrefutably, without any doubt, what is Kshetra, what is Kshetragna, this difference is Yaha Viduhu Gnana Chakshusha. But one can only know this by the eyes of wisdom. By our normal charma chakshu, our regular eyes, we cannot see this difference. Our regular eyes only shows us what is, but it does not show what is beyond what we are seeing. And that's why we have to understand that we have to open this Gnana Chakshu, this eyes, divine eyes of wisdom, which is also called the third eye, the Gnana Chakshu, the third eye. And only with this, what is the phala? What is the benefit? What is the result? It says, Bhuta Prakriti Moksham cha, is relieved of all the bondage of the nature. We all have believed that we are in the bondage, and this nature is causing us for a bondage. Chate Param Yati, and attains or achieves the highest self. Param Yati. Param Yati means that is the highest self. There is no higher self than this. And this highest self, this Paramatma Tattva, this Chaitanya Tattva is nothing but my own Atma Swarupa, Atma Tattva. And that's why we all attain our own self. That is what we understand. And this is a process where first we have to become the Adhikari for this. And this Adhikaritva comes with our Dharma Palana, Karma Palana, Kartavya Palana. And with this, then we become Adhikari to go on this path where then Viveka and Vairagya are the most important steps. Tyaga is the main step where we have to let go. On this yatra, we have to let go a lot of our things, all our misconceptions, our insistence, our duragra, a lot of our misinterpretations about this world, a lot of our wrong knowledge we have to let go. And this Tyaga or Vairagya has to come through Viveka. By the right understanding, by the inquiry, by the right understanding, made be by the Guru or by the Shastra or our own thinking, we do Viveka. And then finally, with this sadhana, we do Shravana, Manana, Nididhyasana. With this, our Gnana Chakshu, our divine eyes of wisdom will become activated. We'll be able to see what Bhagavan is describing here, which is the reality, but we are not able to see it today. And this is how we can understand the Atma Tattva. We can get this Atma Gnana. With this, we can attain the highest self, our own Atma Swarupa we can understand. And this is the goal of human existence according to Lord Krishna. With this, we come to the end of the 13th Adhyaya. We will recite the Adhyaya Pushpika, which is customary at the end. Om Tat Sata Iti Shrimad Bhagavad Gitasu Upanishatsu Brahma Vidyayam Yoga Shastre Shri Krishna Arjuna Samvade Kshetra Kshetragnayo Vibhaga Yogo Nama Trayodashodhyayah Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja Aham Tva Sarva Papebhyo Moksha Ishyami Ma Shuchaha. Om Guru Brahma Guru Vishnu Gurur Devo Maheshwara Gurur Sakshat Parah Brahma Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Om Purnamada Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti.